Good afternoon. Welcome to the Northpoint of View. Walter, how are you, man?
I'm okay, Mark. How are you?
I'm great. This is a personal moment, right?
Yes.
You called it part of the Apology Tour 2026.
Yes, it is.
Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. We threw a lot of stones, and
I'm going to counter that. I think the critique and some of the questions, the dialogue that we had on EVs it was pretty close. All the things that we talked about early on was sort of how it landed.
Yeah.
Where we are now, there's a retooling going on. We talked about the $50 billion write-off in the last couple of years on the EV industry. Ford wrote off $6 billion last year alone. But I don't think we were that far off now. 10 years from now, it's a different story. The technology is, it's improving, all the pieces of it. But there is something you wanted to say. This was the postscript on the EV conversation.
Exactly. I think the biggest mistake that happened is management of the auto companies was being driven more by politics than by the market. The market isn't there for the EVs, right? Yes, EVs make sense for a certain segment of the consumer market, so we're not going to argue that. And as you always put it, as the range gets longer between charges, a growing segment of consumers are going to be interested in having an EV. My son lives 600 miles from me, and there's
593.
Exactly. 593. Why would I know that? Because I was offered to rent an EV from one of the rental agencies to drive up there. And so I asked a bunch of questions. And then I had to work out the exact distance. And I'm like, where the hell am I going to stop between here and Washington, D.C. to charge this car? And it also turns out, and I know this as an industry kind of insider, the charging stations, at least up until the last few years, only work 2/3 of the time. The other 1/3 of the time, they're just out of commission. And it takes forever to get the parts to replace them, to fix these things, because not all people are nice about equipment, right? It's like in the old days with public telephones. Somebody with dirty, disgusting, greasy hands picked up the handset, dialed the number, blah, 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 put the phone on. You walk in there, and my gosh, the phone smells. And it was somebody who had just eaten a burger, and he just, put the dime in and, dialed in.
Where are you going, Walter?
No, but where I'm going with this is people are not nice to public equipment.
Got it.
People are terrible about it.
Got it.
And so a lot of these things break because the guys try to stick the charger in his car. And you do that a few times. This is delicate electronics. So there was a lot to be adjusted and fixed. And when I see somebody charging their car at a hotel or one of these places, and I see them jamming the stuff in the car into their charger, I was raised to respect public property. And oftentimes what I want to do is go, hey, stop that. But I got the white hair, I don't want to come off as an angry old man.
Kinder, gentler Walter.
Exactly. So I just look at that and I shake my head. And that's when it occurred to me, this is like trying to use those telephone booths many years ago. Most of the time they were nice and clean and perfect. But every so often, oh my gosh, is it disgusting. And that's something that has to be adjusted. So human behavior has to improve so we can get more out of what we have. But we need more charging places. And the charging has got to accelerate. There's a lot of progress in that. That is terrific. And we have always rooted for EVs. It's just that we didn't think it's a good idea to put carts before horses.
Is this your version of an apology?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But we didn't mean to come off as not liking EVs. We just meant to come off as not liking the situation. And the auto companies were making all these investments because governments were giving massive incentives, providing subsidies for investment. And the consequence of that was we ended up with a whole bunch of EVs being produced, capacity to produce even more, and without incentives, consumers weren't interested in getting these things. And that's a fundamental disequilibrium.
Yeah.
And that's what we were objecting to. It's the same thing with our comments on AI, in the last couple of weeks' videos. We want the AI to work, but let's be realistic here. What you read in the press and you see these flashy presentations by the tech companies to investors to get trillions of dollars to build a company, in reality, they're not the same thing.
Disequilibrium. That's
exactly.
The word.
It's the disequilibrium that's bothered us.
And I think that's what's one of the things that's unique about your perspective is you have the ability to step back and see that. When it's out of balance,
right.
When the market's out of balance, it creates chaos. There's fallout.
Right. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool PhD economist. You can't get that out of me now, not at this age. But I'm always looking for the equilibrium. During remember the technology, media, telecom bubble of 2000, 2001?
Yeah.
Okay, we called it at roughly the right time. But what we saw, we said, how do you know you're in a bubble? Because the valuations you're seeing and the fundamentals that should drive valuations, they're out of whack. We were always going to sell trillions more computers over time, but all of that was getting, over a 20, 30-year period, was getting priced into within the next year or two. In the UK, I work with the Vodafone analysts, and we worked out that the valuations of the telecoms for the British telecoms, for cell phones, implied that within the next few years, this is back in 2001, 2002, in the next few years, every man, woman, and child in the UK is going to have 3 cell phones, and that includes newborns.
Right.
You might want to back off of that, out of the shares a little bit. That doesn't make sense. And we knew we were in a bubble. And then we found the right time to call it. But that's what happened with the EVs market. It was a bubble. And we're not being negative. It's just that you need the equilibrium.
Well, and now we're in the period of reset, right?
Yes.
Expectations been reset. The incentives are dialed back. There's a reset which will make the industry stronger.
Exactly. And the state governments were caught with their pants down or anything else down. It wasn't good. And when I worked for Georgia DOT's, transportation infrastructure plan, the thing we spent a lot of time on was how do we factor EVs into things? You know what they pay in gasoline taxes? Nothing. Right. And do you know what's the difference of the impact of a Toyota EV versus a Toyota Corolla ICE, internal combustion engine? The impact is massively different. By the way, EVs have shorter tire life than the ICEs. They also put more wear and tear on the pavement. The torque is so much stronger, especially with the EV trucks. Oh my goodness. They really tear things up. And how much are they paying to replace and repair the infrastructure? Nothing.
More data needed for the AI to properly calculate the cost.
Exactly, more data.
With that, thanks. Have a great day, Walter.
Mark, as always, great seeing you, brother.
Great being with you.
All right, man. Take care. Take care, all.